Now it's time to get access to do the Flash stuff. This is where we turn our tables and our computer crazy database into a relational database. We now have to tell Access what are the relations, the links between the tables we've created. In the lesson we had a look at this thing called an entity relationship diagram, and what that shows is the links from the tables in the design. So for example, a customer has got a link to order, and this line and what's called this crow's feet at the end here show that the customer can have many orders. A customer can have many orders. That makes sense in real life. An order can have many lines. What this means is you can have one order and then you can have many games on that order. You can order more than one game per order, and a particular game can be on many orders. In other words, hopefully if you're going to make any money, you sell the same game many times. It's not about the entity relationship diagram, but let's just set these relationships up in Access. So I'm in Access. I just happen to be looking at a particular table. I haven't put all the fields in, you should have, and I've just put in some test records in customer. You don't need to put in test data if you haven't as yet. Make sure though that you close all your tables. So before we get into this bit, putting the relationships in, make sure this is blank. And I want to go to Database Tools and Relationships. Now when I click in this, and if it didn't show, I clicked on Show Table, but normally it pops up with this. I'm going to click on all of these holding down the Control key and press Add. I'm not creating the tables again, I've already created them. What I'm going to tell Access is the links between them. So let's look at some of the links. I'm going to move that down. Whoops, let's close this thing here. I'm going to move this down just to make it tidier. So I've got an order, and let's have a look at the PowerPoint again. A customer can have many orders. Now the way you tell Access that that relationship exists is you drag from the one side, in other words one customer can have many orders, and I've got a field called customer number here in the order table. That field is the one that's going to hold the customer number for the order. When I drag, I click once on customer number here, and oops, not like that. If I click it again, I want to drag down to customer number here. You get this little plus symbol. When I let go of my mouse and a prompt comes up, don't worry about this, but just click on Enforce Referential Integrity. In plain English, that means when they enter an order, any order, they must enter a customer number, and that customer number must be one of the customers already on the table. Now, as Access is going to do some validation. I need to do the same thing for the others. So we've got an order. One order can have many order lines. So I'm going to say one order. I click on that, and I click across to the corresponding field on order line where I'm going to hold the order number. I let go, enforce referential integrity, and press create, and I've got a link. Finally, I've got this one game ID. Let's have a look at that. One game can have many order lines, can be on many order lines. So one game, I click from the one side and drag it across to the game ID on this one, let it go, and enforce referential integrity. At that point, I've literally replicated what I've got here on these ones, on this thing. I've actually replicated on my side here. So now I've got all the relationships. Let's see what this does. So I'm going to close that. He said, clicking on the right thing. Let's get back on the field. So let's close this. Do you want to save the changes? Yes. Now if I go into customer, my table looks the same. I've got the customer details. I've got these little plus symbols. If I click on one, it shows me the order table. In other words, it knows now that one customer can have an order. I can actually go in and create an order for the customer literally straight off. I'll just put in some test records, and I can merrily go through that. Let's correct another one. I've clicked again, and now it's saying, okay, so I'm creating an order for this customer. It knows there's a link between the order and the order line, and it's saying, well, okay, let's let somebody put something in there. Let's see if we can put an error. So that's one clever bit of functionality. So now that I've put the links, I can just click on my customer and I can enter an order straight away. And if I enter an order, let's give it an order date. My database is fairly simple. I can literally put what games they've ordered at the same time. Let's check some other things in there. So that's that bit. Let's close that and we'll just save the difference. If I go into, let's go into the order table, do it differently. I've got some order numbers. They're the two I've just created. You can see I've created some earlier and deleted them. Doesn't matter. Let's see how the validation works. So I've got a relationship between order and customer. I shouldn't be able to put a customer number in here that doesn't exist in the customer table. Let's just go and check the customer table again. So I've only got 3 customers, 1, 2 and 3. So I shouldn't be able to put any number except 1, 2 and 3. Let's try customer number 4 and let's put in a date and see if it allows me to do the order. Well, at the moment I haven't entered it. If I click on to try and put a new order, I clicked on the line below, you can see that it's saying you can't do that because a related record is required in the customer table. What it's actually saying is that customer number 4 doesn't exist. It's going off and checking that it exists. 1, 2 and 3 does. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to go off, put your relationships in as I've just done, and then start putting in some test data to make sure it works.